Bloomberg and the Wall Street Journal are reporting that Donald Trump has big plans for the Federal Reserve with his campaign. And while there have been a lot of different plans circulating, including the 2025 Heritage Foundation plan, all of them seem to revolve around three important topics. One, firing Jerome Powell. This is clearly a signal or a tool to indicate that anyone suffering from high interest rates today on their cars, their credit cards, home loans, student loans, whatever it may be, should potentially see Donald Trump as somebody who is going to solve that issue by basically cutting off the head of the Leviathan. Now, obviously, the point of the Federal Reserve is to raise interest rates in a high inflation environment. So some argue that this could also be Donald Trump's punishment for Jerome Powell allowing or enabling the high inflation to occur in the first place. Now remember, the goal in my videos is always to be unbiased and neutral, so I'm going to do my best here. Jerome Powell has gotten the blessing from Joe Biden to continue doing as he pleases. This is very normal. It is very normal, at least since about the Paul Volcker era, which is about 40 years ago, for the Federal Reserve to have substantial political independence. And even though someone like the chairperson of the Federal Reserve can be appointed by the president and confirmed by Congress, the chairperson of the Federal Reserve generally makes decisions without regard to politics or elections. Now, 50% of people hearing me say that are going to say, bullcrap, they are going to try to manipulate the election. This is also entirely possible, although it is not something that we can outrightly prove. Consider the possibility that the Federal Reserve realizes they're going to lose their jobs and their independence if Donald Trump is elected. Is it then possible that the Federal Reserve rapidly cuts interest rates before the election to preserve the independence of the Federal Reserve institution? Yes. Is it also possible that the Federal Reserve cuts interest rates right before the election because something happens in the economy that forces them to do so, but then it looks like they cut interest rates for political reasons? Yes. Is it also possible that the Federal Reserve does not cut interest rates at all this year and then still gets fired by Donald Trump next year if Donald Trump wins the election? Yes. So all of these things can happen. And so as someone watching, we want to evaluate what are some potential outcomes if Donald Trump wins and ends up revamping the Federal Reserve to where the Federal Reserve has to consult with the sitting president starting in 2025 before they make interest rate decisions. Well, let's base this off of what the Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg and other sources are indicating. First, quick reminder, today is the expiration of that coupon code. So congratulations and shout out to all the course members who made very large tendies on that trade we conducted on Friday. I don't promise that every trade is going to be a winner, but there were hundreds of you who emailed or wrote comments or sent messages going, thank you for the 5x return on a trade we did on Friday. Some of you held on even longer and got a 6x or 5.5x return. Congratulations to those of you. So congratulations. That was an amazing trade. We hope to have more of those. Remember, if you go to meetkevin.com and you sign up for the Stocks and Psychology of Money group, you get not only all the lectures on fundamental analysis and a financial insight, but you also get any of the new lectures we create for stocks. You get all of the course member live streams archived going back years and all of them going forward, and you get those trade alerts. Of course, a lot of people are also bundling that course with the 0 to Millionaire Real Estate course or the How to Be More Productive and Get SH9T Done Faster course, which is a really good course as well that features AI tools that you might be interested in using as well. Very cool. So if you have questions on bundling up, just email us at staff@meetkevin.com. So let's now imagine a potential reality where Donald Trump wins. Oh, and remember that coupon code expires tonight. Where Donald Trump wins and then removes some of the Federal Reserve independence. Well, first we think Jay Powell would get fired. The next action that would likely happen is Donald Trump would try to do anything to actually weaken the US dollar. One of the ways you can easily weaken the US dollar is by lowering interest rates. So I would suspect that we would very rapidly get interest rate cuts and a substantially weaker dollar. There are reasons why the dollar falls in value when rates are lower. It's not so important right now, but basically, people are attracted to investing in things with higher interest rates, so therefore, the currency offering that higher rate has more demand and goes up. Don't worry about that. Point is, lower rates, weaker dollar. What does that do? Well, it potentially drives up the competitiveness of U.S. businesses in a global economy. A weaker local currency makes it easier to sell local products and services around the world, whether those are data service products, machinery, like we sell electrical machinery to China. Yes, we buy junk from China, but we also export a lot of electrical machinery to China. This makes it easier for our manufacturing companies to sell products across the globe. However, it makes it more expensive for us as travelers or purchasers of foreign goods and services to buy those goods and services. It makes it more expensive to go on vacation in Europe or the United Kingdom. It makes it more expensive to buy services from abroad, maybe designers or work from homers or whatever in other countries. A lot of folks, though, have an America First approach and say, forget that. Let other countries be more expensive, and let's focus more on bringing manufacturing home to America and encouraging jobs in America. There's a balance to all of this, because obviously, if the United States weakens its currency, it's possible you could set off a currency war, and you could find weakening of currencies at other countries. This could potentially set off an inflationary spiral, which could lead the entire economy into an unfortunate situation where we would have to raise rates even higher than we've ever had to before, go from, say, 5% to 10% or more, like 19%, like what we saw in the 80s, and we create a nasty, brutal global recession. So it's not all good. Though, I will say, fate loves irony, and I've been saying since, quite frankly, the 2020 election timeframe when Biden and Trump were running against each other, I've been saying the greatest irony would be that we end up getting a surge of inflation during a Biden administration following all of the money printing that happened both under Trump and Biden, and that inflation would slowly start falling at the end of a Biden first term, but the frustration of that inflation would lead to a return to Trump. And then you get a plummet of inflation, a potential plummet in interest rates in the short term, but do you potentially then froth up an even larger bubble? Ignoring the part about the larger bubble, that irony is a potential reality. And as Elon Musk likes to say, fate loves irony. So we'll see what happens. But Donald Trump's plans are very clear. Now, whether or not they're going to flip on those plans like they did the first time around in the first term that Donald Trump was president, where they argued, we're going to fire Jerome Powell, they ultimately didn't. Although Jerome Powell did back down. So it does make you wonder, did he back down due to political pressure or what? This was back in 2019. They started raising rates. You ended up having a liquidity crisis in September of 2019. And that was around the same time we started seeing rates stabilize again. We didn't get hikes again starting in December of 2018 when we had a crisis in the stock market. It's entirely possible that we end up seeing a softening Jerome Powell. And whether that's because of politics or not, we'll see. But we are expecting the Federal Reserve to pause their runoff of the balance sheet to try to prevent some of that liquidity stress. It's a little bit more complicated, but the point is, I want to ask you, have you already used that coupon code expiring tonight? If not, let me know in the comments, link down below why. Let me know what you think about Donald Trump potentially taking over the Federal Reserve. See you in the next one. Goodbye and good luck.